We're live.
All righty. Good afternoon and welcome to the Tulsa City Council Public Works Committee meeting. I'm chairing this meeting, City Council District 3. I call this meeting to order. Number 1 and number 2 on the agenda, Emily Hall, appointment to the Tulsa Housing Authority, replacing DJ Morrow, term expires January 20th, 2029, out of Council District 4. Come on up. Oh, hi, there you are. Okay. Tell us all about you. You want to comment?
Yeah, after she talks
Okay,
though.
of course.
You guys are pretty familiar with me, but recommendation is coming from the mayor. Work in the mayor's office, senior advisor on homelessness. Housing, access to housing is extremely important for all of our citizens of Tulsa. Housing Authority plays a key role in providing that access to housing. So have experience. I currently serve on MetroLink Tulsa, have served on Housing Solutions Board and several others. So I very much am excited about this.
Okay, we're happy to have you today. Councilor Bellis.
I'm glad that in my head this will help us really kind of streamline between some of the work you're already doing and the Housing Authority. Could you tell us a little bit more about kind of what that could look like, or some of the stuff that, like, how this might help kind of pair some of those ongoing activities and create mutual support? I just think that might be helpful to kind of give everyone a framework. Sure. I mean, as we are working to end street sleeping, getting folks into housing, getting folks who are some of our most vulnerable Tulsans who may fall into homelessness. Really, Tulsa Housing Authority provides the housing that meets people's needs as they're rebounding, as they are looking for the most affordable place to live, as well as access to vouchers in that federal voucher program, which is absolutely essential to keeping people housed and offering supports for them. Yeah, no, that's good to that's good to hear, because I was kind of in my head thinking about the vouchers especially. Yeah. And then I think it's pretty I gone and double checked. It's pretty typical, like, in different cities to have like that internal housing person then also kind of liaise to a housing authority type entity. Is that like a pretty typical structure in other places? I wasn't sure actually. I had like looked it up a little bit. Or
I do think
Yeah.
in some other communities, the city sits on the housing authority.
okay.
I haven't done like an extensive
No.
survey or anything.
That's why I just wanted to double check. It seems like maybe something that's been like a standard practice other places. So to me, this seems like us kind of mirroring some of that. Many other cities have someone Yeah. that sits on the housing authority. Makes sense. Okay, thank you. And, since I'm District 4 here, District 4, I'm not Councilor Fowler who will be like, oh, good, God's country, but, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions? I do have a question, and this might be a question for another time with THA. Are there still restrictions for felons and vouchers?
I will be happy to find that information out for you, Counselor, and do a follow-up.
Okay, that would be helpful, because I think that probably is going to affect some of our homeless population seeking housing on limited income as well. So, also I have questions about Gene Bullmash. How come he was not?
I heard some legal explanation about another entity
Isn't he on
Oh, I do not know if this is, I actually don't know the rationale behind how anybody was selected. I do know, like, Gina and I will serve on the loan committee for
that was it.
HPN.
Okay.
And so, potentially just the other housing work. There's sometimes that you have to step away from a different project.
Good thing we have two housing.
So,
Yeah.
It's from different angles people.
But housing and homelessness, they go hand in hand, so you probably know about one if you're involved in the other.
Right, okay. Well, I know you've been deeply involved this last year, so appreciate that. Councilor?
Definitely. Of course, I'm in full support. I appreciate the work that you're doing with particularly our encampments. We got another one decommissioned in District 2. Hilltop is doing I mean, it's a project that we support, and when I think about THA, you know, on our side of town, the west side, we got Parkview Terrace, South Haven, La Fortune, and just looking forward to sort of working with you, you know, with those properties as well. So, great.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. We will be voting on the 25th at the 5 p.m., so you're welcome to attend and speak after that vote, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 3. Toniel Bent. Hi, there you are. Appointment to the Tulsa Housing Authority replacing Rick Neal, term expires January 20, 2029, out of Council District 9. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Tell us all about yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tennille Bent. I currently actually serve on the Tulsa Women's Commission. I am a longtime Tulsa resident, born in Jamaica but grew up in the city, in the metro. I have been an educator at schools, particularly in North Tulsa, and also have worked in the nonprofit space in education equity, now in mental health, for the last over a decade now. So in my professional life, I lead HR, culture and engagement, equity work.
Very highly qualified. I appreciate your mental health experience in this regard.
I'm not a clinician, but definitely
Yeah,
working
well,
in the space, so yeah, I want to qualify that.
Well, 10 years of working with mental health situations actually speaks for itself. I know it's a difficult field, and it's difficult navigating, and I don't know, I mean, clinicians are very appreciative, but also experience from that comes to the table, so I appreciate that. Any other comments? Questions? All right. We will also be voting on the 25th of this month at the 5 p.m. and you're welcome to attend and comment if you'd like, public comments. So appreciate you and your expertise coming to the table. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 4, Seth Blatton, appointment to the Tulsa Housing Authority replacing Lisa Albers. Term expires January 20, 2029 out of Council District 4. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. How did you manage to get all these people from your district, Ms. Laura? Councilor Bellis?
We were very civically engaged urban core.
I think so. Tell us
That's my
about
stock
yourself,
answer.
Seth.
Yeah, name is Seth Blanton. I'm a,
Something tells me she's had to say that before.
Sorry, Seth.
no, you're good, you're good. I'm a private practice attorney in town. Have a little bit of a background in land use. Worked in the landlord-tenant clinic during law school. Live in Council District number 4.
That's a pretty good experience, being landlord tenant. It'll be a good asset for helping us create some policy. Councilor Gilbert?
Can you tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on that
Yeah, I think
particular?
it's a very valuable one for the city, obviously. It's, you know, I obviously would not be an attorney for the board whatsoever.
Right.
That's very clear. That being said, it's a really interesting one as a matter of legal makeup, right? It's, with the city, there's state rules and regs, there's state money involved, there's federal money involved. It's an interesting one that affects a lot of the population too, and it's been mentioned here, it's got the excellent voucher side of things, and it's also got a development side of things, so it's fascinating board.
Thank you.
Has a
Councilor
lot
Bellis?
of dynamics to it.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah, that just, sorry, since you mentioned some of those nuances and finding them so interesting, it made me curious, is that something that I know you talked about doing legal representation in some of those landlord tenant.
I don't work in housing whatsoever
Okay.
currently, and I
Okay.
don't work on real estate development.
clinic.
None of my private practice work
Oh, I see.
touches anything.
Okay, just previously. I was just, it made me curious if you'd come across, or maybe in that legal clinic. Was that the Terry West Civil Legal Clinic?
So I'm from Oklahoma City
Oh,
originally.
no.
Tulsa by
Okay.
choice.
I'm kidding.
Tulsa by choice.
Good.
So no, it is not. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm not familiar with that one. It's with
Okay.
Oklahoma City University School of Law.
Oh, okay, great. No, yeah, it just made me curious. Did you have experience in that setting with some of those layers that you just mentioned?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
That one is a little bit different. That
Right.
landlord-tenant work, in my experience, happens a lot more on the private landlord side
Yeah,
of
of
things. But there's overlap there, certainly.
And I'm so sorry if I missed it. What kind of law did you say you practiced?
Litigation exclusively,
Okay.
mostly healthcare.
Okay, Fun, okay. I'm kidding.
Well, gold star for choosing Tulsa over Oklahoma City.
Yes, extra points.
It's a good place.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Thank you. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Have you done much board service in Tulsa?
I have not.
Okay. Will this be your first?
It would.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. If there's anything that the council, that you need from the council, please don't hesitate to ask. That goes for you as well, and Ms. Emily. We will be voting on the 25th as well at the 5 p.m. You're welcome to attend or not. It's up to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Item 5, ordinance approving and adopting the Second Amendment Downtown Area Economic Development Project Plan pursuant to the Oklahoma Local Development Act, amending the boundaries of Increment District Number 13, City of Tulsa, identifying and establish 2 additional increment districts as temporarily identified in the Second Amendment Project Plan as Increment District J and Increment District K, respectively designating and adopting project area and increment district boundaries, deferring the naming and the dates for the creation of Increment District J and Increment District K, adopting certain findings, authorizing the City of Tulsa and the Tulsa Authority for Economic Development Opportunity as the entities to carry out and administer the Second Amended Project Plan, establishing a tax apportionment fund, declaring apportioned funds to these special funds of the Tulsa Authority for Economic Opportunity, authorizing the use of increment revenues for the payment of certain project costs, ratifying and confirming the actions, recommendations, and findings of the Review Committee and the Tulsa Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. Who do we? Hi, Eric.
Counselor Dutton, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. How are you?
Fine. That was a mouthful that you said.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I'm going to try to condense what this Second Amendment does.
Perfect.
And personally, Chief Economic Development Director for the City of Tulsa, with my good friend.
Mike Dickerson, Senior Vice President of Incentives Municipal Relations, Partner Tulsa.
So this is kind of our Second Amendment, is the kind of downtown TIF cleanup amendment. We're doing 4 things here. One of the things that we're doing is we're going to add sales tax to the Cathedral District TIF. When we set that TIF district some time ago, we actually, $25 million was a lot of money to put into a TIF district. Now that we're looking to actually redevelop that district, we're realizing that we have close to 500 million.
500 million identified by DTP during a strategic planning session.
To redevelop the Cathedral District. So, for a quick one, if you saw a picture of the Cathedral District back in 1950s, it was a bustling, crowded place. And somehow, over time, it's become a lot of parking lots. And so we're trying to get back to the point where we're bringing people development back to the Cathedral District. And so this change is to help that development in the Cathedral District moving forward. Then number 2, we're creating 2 TIF boundaries around what is now the Philcade building. This was designed for a particular project, but in general, it's just setting new boundaries to make a kind of 2 different TIF districts. One is ad valorem only, and one's a sales tax district for that Philcade Tower building. So it's just breaking that building into 2 different TIF districts for development purposes. And then number 3, this is really cleanup. When the PAC TIF was created, they put a 3% sales tax in that district, which is not like any other district that we have in the city. It should have been 2.65%, and it was at, I'm sorry, 2. It is at 3.65, thank you, Mike, for that clarification, and it should have been at 2%. And so we're just making that adjustment to bring it in line with the other districts across the city, making that correction in that TIF district. And then the number 4, this involves kind of North Tulsa, the FinTube project. We are taking the FinTube project out of the downtown TIF and making its own TIF district heading north. What happened when people created the TIF district before, they stopped at the bridge downtown and included FinTube, just a little part of FinTube. With new developments happening at Patrick Greenwood in North Tulsa and other parts of North Tulsa, we now want to take that TIF district and point more north, so more development funding can go north Tulsa and not just being that part of downtown Tulsa. So how we create a TIF district is really kind of is north-facing, and helps all of North Tulsa to grow and develop together. And that's the point of those 4 changes. Yes, ma'am.
So what is the, I didn't know anything about this. What is the southern boundary for the Fentune?
What's this one boundary?
So
Tim.
the existing project plan as it sets today has the parcel boundary that is the Evans Fentube site as that entire boundary. It is just the Evans Fentube site.
So Archer?
No, it doesn't actually extend to, it extends to the railroad right-of-way and the highway right-of-way.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to correct. It's just, at this point, it's just the FIN2 building that is TIF, that we're trying to expand that TIF, so we have a higher public benefit area going more north.
So what is the northern boundary?
We haven't set that yet, because this is just action to take it out of downtown, so we can redesign that TIF. And then once we start to design, of course, we'll confer with you to figure out what that should look like. But the first action was get it out of the downtown TIF and then go north.
Okay.
So the 2% you were talking about has been increased by 1.65%?
No, actually, right now, it's 3.65%. We're going down to 2%, which keeps it consistent with the other districts. Somehow, that mistake was made early on, which is correcting that mistake.
So how would that affect then the TIF district further north and taking it out of downtown?
No impact whatsoever. Those 2 things are completely different.
Different districts.
2 different.
Yeah, different TIFs, okay. Any further questions, comments? All righty. Thank you, Erin.
I think we're 6-2.
Sure enough. Thank you for that. All right, resolution declaring the intent to consider proposed project plan creation of 1 or more tax increment districts under the Local Development Act, directing preparation of a project plan when appropriate, appointing a review committee, directing the review committee to make findings as to eligibility and financial impact, if any, on taxing jurisdictions and business activities within the proposed districts. Directing the review committee to make recommendations with respect to any proposed project plan.
Hey, Rock. So it's unfair for me to talk about this TIF. This is going to be an incredible TIF for the city of Tulsa in my friend's district across the table. However, because Audrey, Karen, and Mike have worked so hard to make this happen, I'm actually going to let Mike talk about this TIF, which is revolutionary in its action.
He is teeing me up for failure here. So I hopefully can deliver on the hype he put in place there. So the TIF that is being requested to have a Local Development Act Review Committee, or LDARC, formed is one of the largest areas that remains undeveloped in Tulsa. Through a long and arduous process over the last several years, we have worked with the owners of that privately held area to identify needs for development and potential for new housing, new employment centers, pretty much everything under the sun that you could expect from raw land. And this TIF helps to address that and provide tools so that new projects could come forward, be they housing, be they employment. Really, there's nothing out in that area right now. It is a former ranch, it is a former site of coal mines, it is beautiful but vacant, and it has one of the highest potentials for development that we see inside the city. So the request before you today is to give the authorization to form the committee that is of all of the taxing jurisdictions representatives to sit down at this table and discuss what the project plan should look like and what level the budget should be set at and how we want to try and approach this. So as you can see on the screen, all of the taxing jurisdictions that are represented are listed inside of the resolution. And if there's any legal questions, I mean, as Aaron said, you know, Audrey has worked extensively on this.
It's Robson.
It's the Robson Ranch.
Questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah, please go.
So I know there's some plans already for development, so is this superseding this, or is this trying to help that? Help me understand.
Do you want me to take that?
I can start
Yeah,
off.
thank you.
So the Robson Ranch, as you know it,
Yes.
there's two separate kind of developments that are happening.
Right.
This is for the kind of industrial workforce side of that.
Is it on the
property.
west side of the highway?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on the other side, where you currently have the Stallions, that's where we're looking at housing, retail, that kind of development on that side of the street.
Okay,
Does
so.
that answer your question?
Kinda,
Okay.
sorta, maybe. So I toured it, actually with the mayor, and before Mr. Robson passed, and saw the plans and the layouts. So is this working in conjunction with that?
Yes, and so
Okay.
we have worked, I worked with Joe until he passed
Yes.
on this plan. So the whole thing is that we're designing it so they line up together. So it's not, look at these two things as two separate pieces. It's one big project.
Okay.
That one happens to be an industrial side and one is a retail housing
Right.
side of the project. But yes, we have been working in concert with the
Okay.
developers.
Because I mean, I've seen the plans and the layout, I've got the booklet, so it's all.
Yes, we're working together on those two things,
Okay.
and the Robson family's been in sync with us on this project.
They're in sync?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Thank
have
you.
to ask, what are you gonna do with all the wild ponies?
Going to your,
That's fine, they're beautiful.
There's
They-
other places to visit.
I know, but
As a horse lover myself, as you know,
I know.
I care about horses, but I think that the federal government would find another big ranch to put those stallions on, to let them roam free and enjoy life.
So I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, so if I remember correctly, he had like a 10-year contract with the Bureau of Land Management
Yes.
Yeah.
for
He did.
that space. These were non-working horses.
Right, they're all wild
They are
stallions.
That's all they do.
They're wild
is-
stallions, right.
Yep, just walk around
Eating,
and,
yeah.
yeah, that's, they have the life.
The life I'm shooting for, just
Yep,
walk around and eat.
exactly.
eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah.
So you said there were coal mines there. Has the environmental impact of those been mitigated?
So, two things. So, yes, they've looked at the environmental side of that project, but you have to go out there and see it. So, when they talk about coal mines, they've actually dug these really deep trenches throughout the property.
Yep.
So, as a result of that, these beautiful creeks run through that property. It's one time where I've seen a coal mine that's left behind some very positive looking environmental features for a property. I mean, these deep cliffs that have creeks that run through them, absolutely fabulous. And of course, the horses have enjoyed that land for quite some time, so.
So they basically collapsed then, the landmines, if they went underground and you could visibly see creeks, they collapsed into.
That I can't speak to.
Yeah. And the plan also included some wonderful bike trails and
Yep.
using those creeks and
Yeah, so-
ponds and making a park-like. They've done all of that, whatever,
Mitigation.
to, yes. At least that's what I was told a year ago when I toured it.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
I concur with that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what Joe had
Joe had said,
to
yes.
me as well on my tour.
I was
So-
just concerned about the environmental impact on residential, possibly in watersheds.
Well, no horses have died.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, they have.
Well, but.
Unfortunately, they have.
But they're old.
But they have to account for every single one of
course,
those
it
horses,
does.
right, as part of their contract.
There's still
I will say,
prove it.
if you haven't toured, if you haven't had the opportunity to tour that property,
It's
you almost
fabulous.
feel guilty
Yeah.
about doing anything, developing anything on it.
It's beautiful.
And there's another 1,000 acres that sits to the east
East.
of Woodland Hills Mall, that's, you almost feel guilty about doing anything to that as well. I mean, it's really beautiful property, so. Basically, there was no intent otherwise to do anything with this property, so this is a well-thought-out plan in the park that is part of this master plan development. Will supposedly rival Central Park in New York.
Yeah.
So,
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful plan.
It is,
It's gorgeous.
so, yeah.
And
It-
tax revenue.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right,
If
that's
you
what we're
did, like I said, if you haven't got to tour this property, it's just amazing.
Field trip, okay.
We need that on the east side.
Huh?
We need that on the east side.
It is east side.
I mean, you know, northeast.
It is east side.
East goes a long way. I get it, Councilor Bagel, thanks. I get it. All righty, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, ordinance closing a portion of the water line easement requested by Ruben Vogel with Restaurant Depot for property located at 4538 South Sheridan Road, South Sheridan Plaza Edition. The easement closure request is for future development in Council District 5. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Paul Zachary, Public Works. We did receive an application from the applicant that you said. It was a large parcel, and they have had an IDP, and they've served the other property owners that the original loop line did. But this has a loop all the way around it, and they want to split it up and do it differently as opposed to this large one area. So they have relocated the water line that was in place. They've got all the water restored and routed to the adjacent properties. And then when they come in and develop, if they lot split, they do whatever, they will then build and extend the water lines they need at that time. But this was reviewed by everybody, and there was no agencies or authorities or representatives that objected to this. The work is complete, and we've accepted the new water line that has been constructed. So we would recommend approval of closing this easement. It's no longer needed.
Thank you, City Councilor Gilbert, sorry.
So any idea of what the future development is? I mean, is it the parking lot of splitting the parcel?
I don't know what they're, it's that one large box
'Cause it is
building.
It is a huge parking lot.
Exactly, so it's all the way around. They took it all out, all the way around the
Okay.
perimeter, and they did restore it to that one out parcel that did develop. Get that one more picture. To this, that did redevelop. The master meter's right back, the meter is right back here. So
Okay.
I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but right now, it's
Okay.
all fixed.
So it's all,
It's all served. All these folks are served here, but this is still under one ownership back here.
okay, so it's behind the depot?
Yeah. See, there it is there.
'Cause that's the back end
Right,
of it.
and this
Yeah.
is the meters and stuff for
Okay.
it, so they're extended up to here. But we
Okay.
don't have any plans for what, he just needs to clear this. He says it's for the redevelopment, so
Okay. I don't know what you can put back there, but,
we'll find out.
yep.
Yeah, we will.
It won't be in East Tulsa, though, that's for sure.
Any further questions or comments?
Come on.
Councilor
Thank you.
Martin?
No,
Hold
no,
on,
I'm
Paul.
sorry. Yeah, you kind of took my question. I go to this Restaurant Depot to get my butter for our candy company. I was like, cool, this is on here. So I don't know. I was gonna ask what are they gonna do with it, but we have no idea.
Yes, sir, that was not disclosed.
Okay.
You'll have to find butter elsewhere.
No,
That's what I know.
it'll still be
Well,
there.
the restaurant depot is still
It'll still be
open.
there.
Right.
You can still go get your butter. Who knows what they're gonna be putting back there?
That you can sell at the new Route 66 market.
What changes on it tonight?
This is a
Nope.
calendar
Next
turn.
item.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on to item number 8, resolution adopting revisions to the September 12, 2024 City of Tulsa regulatory floodplain maps as the official maps of the regulatory floodplains of the City of Tulsa, Oklahoma, amending portions of previous City of Tulsa regulatory floodplain map, panel 553, providing the copies of said maps to be filed and kept in the office of the city clerk, and making said maps available to the public at a reasonable charge. Hi.
Good afternoon. I'm Joan Gosvick with the Water and Sewer Department, and I have Freddie Damash with me. He's our stormwater planning engineer. Item 8 is a LOMR, which is a letter of map revision that is done by FEMA. This one was done for a project on 81st Street, so it removes the floodplain from the 81st Street because we put in larger boxes.
Right.
And so I do have maps. They were included in the supporting documentation, but this is the last step. City of Tulsa is required to adopt the changes to the FEMA floodplain map by resolution. And then this is Little Hickey Creek from approximately 3,650 feet downstream of South Memorial Drive to just upstream of 81st Street. So it's between 81st Street and 91st Street, and the floodplain crosses, the 500-year floodplain crosses Memorial about in the middle there.
Boy, that's a bonus for that area, that's great. Counselor?
I asked this question of you before the last time. Do we notify property owners who've entered and who've left floodplain?
So in response to your question, we are in the process of preparing that form letter that will notify both property owners that are in and out. We're doing after we approve them, we're doing the GIS exercise to identify the properties that have been removed or added. We haven't sent out the first letters, but we anticipate that next month we'll send out the first ones from Cooley Creek that will directly notify property owners that they have been either added or removed, and actually still encourage them to have flood insurance.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any further questions, comments? All righty, thank you. Item number 9, resolution adopting the November 2024 Vincent Creek Master Drainage Plan and changes to the City of Tulsa Regulatory Floodplain Map Atlas as the official City of Tulsa floodplain map for these parts of Tulsa County lying within the City of Tulsa city limits, which maps supersede the previous Tulsa County incorporated areas floodplain maps for the City of Tulsa floodplain Map Atlas panels 52, 53, 56, and 57, providing that copies of said maps be filed and kept in the office of the city clerk, making said maps available to the public at a reasonable charge.
So this is a resolution adopting the Vincent Creek Master Drainage Plan. So from time to time, probably every 15 to 20 years, the City of Tulsa will update master drainage plans as land use changes, as precipitation events change, et cetera, to provide the most accurate City of Tulsa regulatory floodplain maps. So Vincent Creek is in South Tulsa. We have updated the master drainage plan. We held a public meeting in June of 2025. Had pretty good attendance, about 70 people attended that public meeting to understand how they were being impacted. And this is the last step in that process to adopt the maps from the changes to the Tulsa regulatory floodplain. And as I've indicated, Councilor Bagel, is we will send out letters following this adoption to properties that have been added or removed from the regulatory floodplain. And then these maps will be incorporated into the City of Tulsa special flood hazard area. It's always available on the map viewer. We are working with communications to be able to make the master drainage plans available. And full copy of the master drainage plan was provided to the city council clerk, but it wasn't included with supporting documentation. So it is available for your review. We have better maps if you need to see them, but
Question, just loosely, what are the boundaries of this fund?
so
Loosely.
the boundaries go from about 111. So we're mostly Yale to the river,
Okay,
from about 111th Street South up to about 75th. So the
Okay.
overall,
yeah.
Pass those around.
we can pass these around.
That's all one.
It's a
huge
packet.
packet.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I think we sent that to you electronically too.
There we go.
So this is the overall key map for the whole Vincent Creek drainage area.
Wow.
And then the maps behind that will align with the zones. So one, where you can see the actual changes of what was added, what was removed. Yellow areas are increases and green areas are decreases in the floodplain mapping. So as you look at the maps and see where the floodplain is.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any further questions, comments? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time. And information. All right, righty.
Doesn't affect my district.
Oh, we're losing a whole bunch.
Oh, this is sound.
Hi.
I didn't know if you had any part of that.
That one before, the Lakeview Creek is one.
It's just all fill.
Goodness. Okay, moving on to item agenda number 10, moving along.
Program that was just
Yeah, look here.
Resolution authorizing condemnation of property owned by Timothy C.C. Johnson and Seamus W.A. Johnson, revocable living trust dated September 12, 2023, located at 19009 East 41st Street, parcel 1A, unplatted. An existing public necessity requires the acquisition of an easement for Spunky Creek Interceptor Main Stem, South Phase 3, Council District 6. Hi, Paul.
Paul Zachary, Public Works. Yes, ma'am. We have a capital project that is extending sanitary sewer to serve not only new subdivisions, but also land that has been deemed to be developable if these major trunk lines go in, and then the developers can tie into these fairly equitably. It is being extended. This particular corner that we need is owned by two separate individuals. The individual that has been responsive would like a little bit more money than what has been offered, but they have not done a counter offer. And then the second owner that has a 50% interest has not received.
Well, so I'm going to go ahead and read. Resolution authorizing condemnation of property owned by Timothy C.C. Johnson and Seamus W.A. Johnson, revocable living trust, dated September 12, 2003, located at 19009 East 41st Street, parcel 2A, unplatted. An existing public necessity requires the acquisition of an easement for Spunky Creek Interceptor Main Stem, South Phase 3.
Yes, ma'am. It is the same owners. It's on an adjacent piece of property, different parcel. The dollar amounts have been offered. The others did not. There's a disagreement among the family. It's in a revocable trust among the brothers of the trust. And then the other owner, again, is not being really forthright in coming forward. Their counteroffer was to have city water and sewer hookup for perpetuity, and that's not doable. So we want to establish a fair market value, and we can do that through the courts and the three appraisers that get hired by the judge. And right now, we're just at a standstill with this one and the other parcels. So we would appreciate your all's approval of the resolution. We've been working with these folks since June of 2025, and we're at a stopping point at this point.
Any questions for Paul regarding these two agenda items now? Thank you, sir.
I'm staying around.
You get to stay around for 12 also?
Council license agreements.
I believe so.
Yep. All righty, let me see if I can consolidate.
Yeah.
No. Apparently not. Item number 12, license agreement between the City of Tulsa and CVB Holdings LLC for property located at 3150 East 41st Street, Lot 7, Block 1, Charles Teal and Sunbrook Acres additions to install and maintain a monument sign with the street right-of-way, Council District 9.
Yes, ma'am, we did receive an application. There is an existing monument sign out there in a different location. There have been some site distance issues and some other things, and we also had some complaints from the neighbors a little bit. So in the review process, we've worked out with the owner. The proposed location is to move the sign as far back from 41st Street as possible to alleviate the site triangle issues and to minimize the impacts on the encroachment, so we're getting it back as far away from 41st Street as we can, and it still met their intent of what they needed. And then also, we need to preserve some visibility and get it away from the residential area as much as possible. They're going to a digital sign. That doesn't necessarily show it exactly, but this will help the, I'm going to just say, light pollution that's sometimes caused by these signs. So other than that, everybody that's looked at it, as long as it's in compliance with the goals that were stated in the comments that we heard during the process, we offer no objection to this and would request that a license agreement be approved for this work. And we will verify that they did as what they said they were going to do once they set up the footings and get everything constructed. So we would recommend approval of that license agreement.
Any comments, questions from council?
The residents across the street expressed their concerns.
Adjacent, yes,
And
they
I
get
think
it.
they made it. I mean, so they're like, yeah, if you can
Anything you can do to dampen it, it would be good.
dampen it, and so I feel like they've done, I mean, I was out there, looked at it, so I have no problem. or
Did they
issue.
forget it was Valentine's Day and not St. Patrick's Day?
This has been a while. It's been over a year.
Oh, yeah, I
Since I
remember.
went and looked at it.
Yeah, there've been other things they've been doing to the property, but it's, I mean, that's the existing sign. They're just going to a digital sign.
Okay.
Yep.
And we just need it further back.
All good.
Alrighty, moving on to item 15, yeah, we're getting through this pretty good. License agreement between the City of Tulsa and Thunder Retail Incorporated for property located at 4304 South 193rd East Avenue, M5, to install and maintain a decorative concrete driveway with diamond cut scoring, City Council District 6.
Yes, this is a residential house. I guess it's owned by Thunder Retail, et cetera. It's a small little cottage out east, 5,600 square feet. But they want to put in some scored concrete, specialty concrete drive, and we have utilities in the area, and we just want them to acknowledge that if we have to replace a water line, anybody does any work in there, then they get to replace their driveway with their special scoring and pattern, and that's not a liability above the cost of just replacing with concrete. And they're good with it, so we would recommend approval of that application.
Alrighty, it looks good.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great driveway. Okay, any questions, concerns? Nope, moving on, alrighty, moving on to number 14. License agreement between the City of Tulsa and Tulsa Stadium Trust for property located at 201 North Elgin Avenue, Tulsa Downtown Stadium Edition, to install and maintain brick pavers, benches, bollards, and trash cans within the street right-of-way, Council District 1.
Yes, ma'am. As, if you've been to the One Oak Field, there are pavers and stuff all around. They want to put in some additional items and improvements as well. They are going to try to save the trees. They are going to replace tree grates. But as pavers go, sometimes they settle. They are replacing a lot of it with some concrete, but in some of the patches and the sink areas in the middle, they are going back with pavers back there just for continuity of the look of it. So it is a no-cost issue for us. It is something that the Stadium Improvement Trust does, but we are very much in favor of getting rid of tripping hazards associated with brick pavers. And as people leave that place in the dark, it really does serve as a hazard. So we are grateful for the Stadium District to get out there and to get these things addressed.
Very important. It looks really good.
No, I think it's going to be very nice.
Yeah, I know that my daughter has visual impairments, and so this is really good for her.
Yes.
She's not tripping over anything. Councilor Bellis?
I'm glad that you diplomatically were like, people leaving at night. It
Yeah.
didn't include that after several beers. But I was just.
We can't make a smooth enough pavement for some of those folks.
No, we can't. I was just gonna check, since you mentioned the pavers, and I was thinking about the other features on the sidewalks in the Greenwood area, knowing where this is situated, that label the businesses and things. Are there, some of those historic business markers that are in the sidewalk, are there some of those on the same block, or will does that touch any of those
I don't
labels?
believe this does. That didn't come up. I don't think they're going to remove those, but those also have license agreements associated with those as well.
Right,
So-
okay, I just wanted to make sure that those weren't being
If they're on,
disrupted.
they're
Yeah,
required to
being
replace
protected,
them.
right.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I mean, how wide is that area?
It's a very,
It's super wide.
yeah, it's a very accessible
Yeah.
Yeah, I
sidewalk,
like it.
because it's newer.
Yeah, need that in my neighborhood. Alrighty, moving on to item 15, resolution renaming Midland Valley Trail to Takabachi? Takabachi, is that correct? No. Thank you. Trail, the Park and Recreation Board approved this change on December 9th, 2025. We have, hi.
Good afternoon, Anna America, Director of the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department, and we also have Teresa Burkett, one of our Park Board members, and the person who brought this forward to us, Mr. Tilley. And this, I'm going to turn this over to them, but this is a recommendation that has come from the Park Board, who approved it enthusiastically and unanimously. A request to rename the Midland Valley Trail, which is the trail many of you, I hope, use, that is kind of behind, crosses behind the gathering place and then heads north into where we connect with the Osage Trail as we get into North Tulsa. And I will let Teresa tell a little bit about this, and then we can turn over to Mr. Tilley to tell. And we also have some members of I believe we have some members here from
The family was not able to make it.
Oh, okay, so they weren't able to make it. They have been, I did see that Amanda, who has been kind of helping shepherd this through the process from the mayor's office and has been working with the family and others, so this has been widely supported. But if you want to talk a little bit more about how you guys came to you, Teresa.
Sure. Hello, it's good to see you all. This is a matter the Parks Board has been working on for a couple of years. Just in loving Tulsa history and talking about it with some of our neighbors in Maple Ridge, Mr. Tilley asked me if I'd ever heard of Tukabachi, and I had not, and started down the process of learning the history of our neighborhood. He was the first allottee of the land where the gathering place sits now, from about 25th Street south to 31st Street. And I'm going to let Mr. Tilley tell the history of Tukabachi, but the Indian Affairs Commission considered this matter and unanimously approved and endorsed the renaming. In visiting with members of the Muskogee Creek Nation and their work with the Council Oak Park, the Stickball Park, and the Dreamkeepers Park, all of these things are in close proximity. That trail does not touch the park, but is part of their cultural history. And they're hoping it can help drive some interest in tourism around our native affairs and replace the name of a trail that is named for an entity that no longer exists and give us some cultural history with Tukabachi, whose grave, ironically, is there at Oak Lawn Cemetery facing the trail. So people on the trail can see his gravestone as they go by the Oak Lawn. But I'll turn it over to Mr. Tilley, who's worked with the family, knows the history, and why this is of importance to all of Tulsa and our history.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today. I've lived near the Midland Valley pedestrian trail for nearly 40 years, and I've used it like most Tulsans have. And it was probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago that I noticed that the street signs that had been placed there, the alternative street signs that were in the Creek language, and that I didn't understand what they meant, so I began to look into it and finding out that one of the names was Lokupoku, which was the name of the original tribal town that gave rise to Tulsa. And looking into it further, I found out that one of the Creek natives that were part of the group that settled in Lokupoku and was said to be present when the council fires were reignited at the base of the Council Oak Tree, was a man named Tukabachi. He was a medicine man, very respected in his tribe. But his history, he lived to be over 100 years old. And I think if you learn about the history of Tukabachi, you learn about the history of Tulsa. One of the interesting things I learned about Tukabachi was that he was one of the band of the Creek tribe that resisted assimilation with the whites. But notwithstanding that, he was one of the Creeks that fought alongside the United States during the Civil War, and was literally one of the first veterans, U.S. Army veterans, that lived in and was buried in Tulsa. After the troops that he fought with were routed during the final battles that they fought here around Tulsa and left, and so the original Lokupoku tribal town was essentially decimated by Confederate forces. And they were allowed to go to Kansas, where they spent a very brutal winter. And he and his son and about a handful of other people came back to where they had been living before and kept that town going after the Civil War. He lived there until after statehood. He was over 100 years old when he passed away. And when I was reading some of the articles that were written about him, one of the quotes that caught my eye was when he died in 1910, the Tulsa World wrote, "Like the death of Geronimo, the demise of Tocobachi was the passing of one of the famous Indian characters of the Southwest." He was very respected at the time he lived, but he never learned to speak English. And I think it's his history is important because his allotment became a very important part of Tulsa. But I think if you learn more about who Tocobachi was, you learn about Tulsa's history and how Tulsa was founded. And one of the things I discovered after I did my own research was that very few people had ever heard of his name, knew why he was significant in Tulsa history. And so in talking with Teresa, we began to explore ways that we might be able to honor him and recognize him so that more people would understand who he was. And it was originally her idea to rename the pedestrian trail after Tocobachi. And it's very appropriate because, as she mentioned, it starts at the trail itself starts at the river and passes through his allotment. And his grave now sits in Oak Lawn Cemetery just a few hundred feet from the pedestrian trail. And it seems like it would be an important way to teach a lesson about Tulsa's history, about the history of the settlement of this area, and of the significant historical events that happened before we think of Tulsa ever coming into existence. And so we think it's a very appropriate thing to do, and it has been approved, and we would like for it to happen.
And one thing I wanted to, a question came up when this was discussed at Park Board about, is this, the entire trail obviously was not this allotment, and should there be some way to recognize every single person there? And I think they expressed, and I would very much point out, I mean, we all know how important the tribes and the Native nations have been, are today, and have been in before Tulsa was even a city, and in its entire history. And there is almost no recognition of that in any of the naming of anything around the city. And so I would hope this would be, help spur many more things that are named, other parts of how this is woven through our history throughout. This isn't intended to be the be-all and the end-all of, but this is just pulling out one really compelling story that is tied to this piece of land and finding a way to elevate that. And you probably could speak to that a little bit more eloquently.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just add a couple of things. Tatiana, who is the descendant of Tocobachi, she'll be at the meeting on the 25th to kind of speak about this. But she's also indicated that in all of her time doing this work, and that's probably about a decade, because I think really the conversation got started before, the city kind of, before a gathering place came to be. That's really where the conversation started, and this is kind of where it's at now. But she said that in all of this nearly decade of doing this work, that there isn't any other descendant from any other allottee that's come forward to kind of make the same argument or to get this work done. I think another thing that's significant in the relation to the fact that the trail does go through multiple allottees, that's very true, but it's also a historical fact that Tocobachi's guardian is actually who instigated the sale of his allotment to the Midland Valley Railroad. It wasn't him himself. And so I think that that's kind of an added element of the importance of taking a step as a city to rename the trail in his honor. But yeah, hope that answers some questions.
I really appreciate that as well, and the historical significance. I didn't know any of that, so this is really important that we recognize the first peoples initially, and naming something for Chickawaukee is really special. I appreciate that effort. Counselor Archie.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. I was unaware as well, but I will tell that story. I was reading, so the proposal is to rename the trail. Will there be maybe a plaque or some sort of marker to further educate those who are maybe walking up and down the trail, or what do we think about?
We will be putting in new signage. There are only, I think, 2 spots where there are trail signs now, and those will be replaced. And just as an aside, there actually won't be any cost to us for that, because we have a grant that we're working with INCOG to do some, you may have seen the 918 trail signs that are in different places. So it'll be along those lines. And at a minimum, I don't know if you saw, but we've had some communication and looking at doing some things in Muskogee language in addition. And we hadn't talked about, but that's a good idea on the sign. I mean, there may be, there's space where we could incorporate something like that. So we plan to work with Amanda on exactly what that wording will be on the sign. It'll be a couple of months before we get those done, because we're working through them. So we may do some temporary signage in the meantime that would, kind of showcase this. So, but great question.
A plaque to describe the history of.
Well, you've probably seen the 918 signs, so there may be, we can do that in addition, or I think there may be room on those signs to incorporate some additional information as part of the sign itself, but one way or the other, I think that's a great idea, so we'll figure out what will look like, I don't want it to look tacked on, but how do you incorporate that information? That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Counselor Bellis?
I just wanted to, I know this took a lot of time and work, predating this effort, as Amanda so shared prior to even this later conversation and before the gathering place, this has been such a long conversation. I wouldn't have known about it if the Tillys hadn't first brought it to me 3 years ago, maybe. Yeah. So I really appreciate, their kind of sticking with, what could be a lengthy city process, though in the grand scheme of things are some of these injustices that, per an America's Point, we're always kind of progressing our way through. I know this is actually a short time frame in some ways, but still it kind of paves the way for so much more work to do. I know it's definitely, it can feel superficial, but I do think names and words matter, and per your point, at least this can help us get that story kind of out there and be a name that people know more. So I just wanted to thank everyone for their continued diligence. We have had a lot of hard conversations as a city over the years about the names of streets and trails and buildings and names on monuments, right, that come up again and again. And so I'm just glad that we keep embracing those conversations, because I think they're important. And I hope that they can continue to drive both these types of moments where we're changing a name, and also even bigger moments like when we're giving land back or other things like that, as we kind of continue to really face Tulsa's past and pull it into the present as well. So.
I'm also wondering, since my district encompasses Cherokee Nation, District 13, how can I work with the nation in order to start promoting and getting the nation involved in actually naming areas of Tulsa that have already been named for developers that actually are on native land?
I've spoken to them in my interactions previously about similar opportunities that we've done with the Muskogee Nation and this trail. I've also talked to them about like honorary street name changes. That's something that I think that we've done citywide in a number of places, that I think is kind of just a great, at least, step into moving that direction.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to rename some of the parks that we have in East Tulsa for the Cherokee tribe, and individuals that have maybe had that land at one time.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Great, jumping off.
So the trail starts in Muskogee Creek Nation, but it's going to extend all into the.
It ends on 3rd Street, I think.
Okay. Yeah, all within the nation. Oh, I thought you mentioned it connects all the way going through.
It goes,
Osage North, which goes through
I mean,
Cherokee
you
Nation.
can kind of connect over. So if you were going to, but it, yeah. and-
Over to Osage Trail.
Well, I mean, you would go, not on the trail itself,
Okay.
but then you would go over to
There's street
Osage if
access.
you were gonna
It's a street
Yes,
access.
yes, yes.
Cyclists use it all the time.
So I'm
Right.
like, explain.
So you would,
But it does
loop
connect
over,
to-
or
Yes.
whatever you want to call it,
Osage.
jump over on your bike.
But
right.
this
Okay,
is
so it'll stop it.
contemplated
Yeah, this is just the
from
trail.
the gathering place there at the river to Third. So it's one name for the trail, but it
So
doesn't
it'll
go
stop
over.
at Osage?
No.
Where they connect?
It's gonna stop on Third.
Third
Yeah,
Street
they don't
is the
directly,
trail.
if you were riding a bike, then you go on the street over to Osage.
You turn
Right.
left on
So-
Third Street, and we get over.
Here's our cyclist.
Yeah. That's
Please,
I'm just kidding. So,
But then we hit where it goes behind Carver and out, yeah, that's
So,
yours.
That's what I
and
know.
it won't
what I'm-
impact that.
Okay,
No,
that's
no,
what I was
no, that part
asking. When
is-
does
yeah.
it end?
Third Street, Third
Okay,
Street
which is
to
still
Gathering
in
Place.
the
Muskogee
Muskogee Creek
Creek.
Nation?
Yes.
As
Not,
far
it's
as I
not
know.
going into Cherokee Nation?
I don't
No.
think so.
I don't
Because
think
it's
so.
south of the
Because
railroad
the,
tracks.
it's right there by Owen Park is where we have the
intersection.
yeah, where they all three
Yeah.
hit, so.
Okay. It's further,
Which is
yes.
further
South.
north.
Contain Muskogee Nation.
So that's
It's Muskogee.
Edison, I think, is
Yeah.
where the line is, maybe
Yeah,
for,
I don't really care about the streets. I'm saying
yes, this is
the
all.
name is going to be in the
Yes.
Muskogee Creek Nation.
Yes.
Yes.
Not in the Cherokee
And
Nation.
in none of-
Whatever the street name is.
It's
Yes.
in none of
Okay.
them.
Thank you. That's all.
Any further questions, comments?
I'll just say, the Osage one, I've looked into that a little bit, and so some of that does go into county area also. And so it's, I think, partially owned by us and the county, so.
The trail.
Yeah, the
Carolyn
trail
did your
itself.
legal
Whether it's
research on
city or
that.
county, it's in the Muskogee Creek Nation.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't
Parts
care
of
about
the
the rest.
trail that are
Let me-
on county
yes.
property that lease to us for the trail. So it's kind of a patchwork along the way, but I didn't see any legal reason why we couldn't change this.
Part of the reason it took a while, the lawyers, we always,
Yeah.
it took a while to work through that.
Let's move on.
I just love that it gives context to that council oak tree. We know who sat under it and started our community, and I love that history.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in a
Thank
couple
you.
weeks.
Thank you.
I'd love to connect.
We'll talk more.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, number 16, request by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Commemoration Society for waiver of fees for labor costs of $12,080.25 incurred for the 47th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Parade held on January 19, 2026.
I don't think anybody usually comes for this item. We just annually receive the request to waive these fees, and this is one of the typical ones that the council has approved in the past. And so these would be, usually their fees for police overtime and some of those things. So I didn't expect any guest here
Alright.
today.
Do I have
But
any
it's on the
questions?
agenda tonight.
Yes.
Questions, comments? Nope. Alrighty, moving on to item number 17. City Council discussion regarding possible selection of charter amendments.
So councilors, last committee meeting, you asked that we put a charter amendment discussion back on today. And so this is the time that councilors can introduce ideas for discussion. As a reminder, in April, you'll vote on a slate of items to be formally drafted by legal, but the earlier that we can have ideas and work through those, the better product we can typically turn around. And so I do know Councilor Gilbert and Dr. Wright and Bush have one that they'd like to preliminarily start discussing today, and we have some background information on that one. Do you want to start with that one first? Okay. And so this one is the one stemming out of, I'll hand this out.
Can I ask a question? Does anyone else have something to talk about charter amendment today, or is this the only one?
I don't have anything.
I don't think anyone else has anything.
Okay. So this is the one that was.
Is this one you're working on collectively?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Wow.
individually.
No, I don't know,
That's
when
not
you
the
mentioned their three names, I'm like, do
The
you
three of
each
us have
one
joined
separately?
forces.
We joined
Okay.
forces.
Well, so
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I
Get
understood.
ready.
It turns out, on the Mayor Council Retreat Action Plan, you actually all set an action item to look into this issue. So this is the longevity provisions of the charter, and then, I don't know if any of the three of you wanna go into this at all, but I'll continue to hand this up.
We have the commissioner here too that's
Yes,
helping us
Commissioner Roberts is here as well.
navigate. I guess I'll just kick off. As Sarah said, January of 2025, our first budget retreat with this administration, this idea came up. What you're seeing in front of you is the charter language as it exists today. You'll see in Article 7, Section 12.3, they've got dollar amounts enumerated, which what could you get for $7.50 in 1989 that you can get today? So there's some antiquated language. We also just have sworn personnel serving for a lot longer than 20 years, which is what was the longevity kind of benchmark at the beginning of the charter back in the late 80s. Lots of our sworn personnel are topping out. We can have Commissioner Roberts kind of explain what that means. I'm sure you've heard it before that, people get topped out, but basically there's a cap. So even though you've been there 25 or 30 years, you're capped at that 20-year mark. So maybe that would be helpful to just kind of explain longevity, what it's been, and kind of in today's actuality, how it's functioning.
So longevity is, it's a separate component in both collective bargaining agreements with police and fire. That is it's basically, it starts at 3 years and it's paid out through 20 years, and it increases progressively by the dollar amount that's negotiated. For police, it caps at $9,000 for 20 years plus of service. Fire is a little bit more than that right now. And once you hit that 20-year mark, there's no opportunity to continue to move up from there. We know that our forces are staying on a lot longer. There have been incentives that have recently been passed at the state level to encourage at least our police officers to stay an additional amount of time. So we're seeing 30, 35 years, and in some cases up into the 40s, which is great.
Yeah, we just had that longevity award, right?
Which is great, but it is an important component for retention of our experienced veterans that we have invested in for 20-plus years to keep them here and doing this work, because at 20 years, it's a very easy opportunity to exit. Both of our forces are starting younger. People are living longer, they're staying in the workforce longer, to leave and start a second career. So we think it's very beneficial to retention and keeping those experienced veterans on. And then, like I said, this is separate to wages, so there are wage components that, as Counselor Dr. Wright referred to, as topping out, if we want to go into those details. But we would very much support an increase to a 30-year mark to allow for longevity to continue through the 30-year employee. And as somebody who just celebrated 30 years in the city.
I don't know if you want to talk about.
It's basically the same thing that Counselor Dr. Wright brought up, that we discussed this in the 2025 retreat, and how we can recruit and maintain police officers and firefighters and keep them here with us, and especially stay a little bit longer and take care of them at the same time.
And I'll just add that we know it's a very competitive market out there for public service, and this is just one component to help with that recruiting piece and to help make us marketable to other cities and services.
Well, and definitely just retain them.
Yeah, get them in the door and keep them here.
Can you explain to the full council the piece about $7.50 and really how it's working in today's, contracts? Possibly.
Yes, so it is, like I said, it's figured on a dollar figure per year of service. So when this was initially written, it was $7.50 per year per service. And
That's per month, right?
I'm sorry, per month, right. So
and I said that it's 9,000 for police and a little over that for fire, and I think that works out somewhere around 450 per month, which is paid in every paycheck, so it's broken out into a bi-monthly or 26 months. So the $7.50 has never been adjusted apparently since the charter change in the 80s, as well as the years of service. Do we want to talk about the recommendations?
We can. Can
Or-
we? Yeah, we can talk about it. This would be the time.
I wasn't sure how much time you would have on the agenda
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
So,
I
but
think
you
this
have
is our
some,
last
you have a
thing.
little bit more time.
Yeah, and we also have public comment tonight, or public hearing tonight, so.
So I just think that the suggestion is to pull out the actual dollar amount because we're not in compliance with that right now as it is.
It's greater now.
It's a lot greater,
Yes.
yes. And those figures are negotiated through the negotiation process in the collective bargaining agreements. And then again, making the suggestion that we go from 20 to 30 to allow us that room to negotiate that extra 10 years in there.
Well, then what would you put in besides dollar amount, sorry?
Negotiated rate, negotiated figure, prices that are consistent with the collective bargaining agreement, that's,
So it would have to say that.
it wouldn't, correct. It would be words, not numbers.
What's the current number right now? I'm sorry.
Councilor Dallas had a question.
Oh, no, it's okay, here, if you want to, that's okay, that seemed like directly.
Yeah, you had said the number is not 750, but you didn't say, what's the number?
It's 450 for police and a little over that for fire, I believe, is the number it's written, so it's, works out.
Annually.
Per month.
Annually is
That's
not.
negotiated through negotiations on an annual basis.
That's the thing that I actually have questions about, where I just felt confused about what's codified here versus happens in negotiations, and like, so for instance, it seems like this is codified, but then that's
It's
not
like
what
a
we're doing.
minimum, it seems like,
It's
in
the minimum?
practice. In
Okay,
practice.
that's where I
But
was
maybe you can
trying
explain
to,
it.
I felt confused about how those two things interact.
So this was written in the 80s. I don't have any histories how the deviation got above $7.50.
That's what I kind of am like, I mean, good, because,
Right.
right, that, but like, I just wasn't sure how this, like, yeah, it's, how we create that space, that, or have been operating that way.
Jack can also weigh in, but it says an employee shall receive this
Shall.
amount. It doesn't say they shall only receive.
See this amount. I see, it's like,
So
I'm
it's like a minimum.
So it's, so the helping verb left some space.
However,
Okay.
that 20 years,
Yeah.
that shall
Is
have
that's a
complete.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after 20 years, shall not be increased
That's
after
gotta
20
change.
years.
That's a problem.
That's
Yeah.
a line that you
Okay.
haven't seen go over because of that language.
Okay.
But in practice, just so everyone knows, in practice, it's much greater than the $750 per month because it's been negotiated over the years.
It was
So-
$37.50 a month, right?
So
That's 450 divided by 12.
No, it's $450 a
A
month
month is
for
what
a
she was saying.
20-year veteran officer.
$450.
Yes.
Per month?
Yes.
We have the FOP president right here if you'd like a little more clarification, if that's.
We're just trying to understand,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what was written 30 years ago versus what is happening.
So just so, yeah, just
Why
so,
don't you introduce
I can
yourself?
only, yeah,
Would you like to
Patrick
come too,
Stevens.
Matt? Okay.
Patrick Stevens, the FOP, and so I can only speak to our contract, I can't.
Wait, could I just front load one more question into that? Yeah, I think I'm curious, because I get the 20-year part and knowing that that has to change. I am curious then with the recommendation, is it just that we take away having a dollar amount?
Yes.
There would,
Okay.
well, and put in subject to negotiation.
Subject, okay.
Is the
And then I was just gonna
proposal,
check how
right?
that functions for. Okay,
You don't need to spill negotiation secrets.
No.
Yeah, feel free to tell us all.
I'm just
about
talking how it
everything.
currently
Yeah.
We don't
works
wanna
right
hear
now.
that.
Yeah, we're just trying to
The
understand the
current
current
contract,
practice.
how it reads.
negotiated, it ain't a secret. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's, we're they're not secrets, but we're not
getting
involved.
strategy. Right.
Okay,
So
we're just trying to understand
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
it's
structure.
$450 times the years of service, starting at 3 years of service. And then that $450 times the years of service is divided by 26
For payment.
for
Sorry,
dividing.
And that's $37.50.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so you got to the same answer.
That's the formula.
Hold on, sit. Sorry, sir. Question.
Yes.
Why 30? Why not, do we have to put a number on the years? Why not 35, 45, 50? Why 30?
Yeah, when are we ready?
Well, we did ask, I will just answer that.
Thank you.
We're not trying to fire all our questions at the commissioner.
Well,
The chief and the deputy chief kind of took an actuarial look at where we are right now. And we asked, like, what are the number of folks currently on from 20 to 30 years? And I think, we need to get an update from fire. He said almost half, which I thought that was quite high.
177.
What is that, Matt?
177.
177 out of
20
how
plus?
many?
725.
725. And then I think Deputy Chief Brooks said it was about 1/3 that is in that 20 plus. I mean, we could raise it on the upper end.
why, so my question being because of attrition, right? The number of people, Patrick, help us understand, isn't it in 2027, we possibly could lose a whole bunch?
27, 28.
Yeah. So if we raise it, wouldn't this help maybe keep them a little longer since our classes, I mean, we know, I mean,
Potentially,
I don't know that we arrived at 30 as like a hard number.
No, we just,
Okay.
we just,
Especially since
we just threw out the number
I
of
think
30.
I guess
That's where the pension caps.
The pension cap, we're aligning it to the state change, but to your point, there are a couple that got like 40-plus years.
Yeah, their pension doesn't change. It
Right.
caps, it maxes out of 30 years of service for both police and fire.
So we also have Matt Lay with IAFF, in case people have questions. But right now, the $7.50 is like the floor. I mean, we haven't been there in a long time. If we take the dollar amount out, I don't know what that causes the subject of negotiate to 500 a month, or could it, here's the unintended, could we negotiate down to 0 or $5?
there needs to be a minimum.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think there needs to be a floor. To
Maybe it's a
protect negotiation.
percentage, so we don't get stuck in like
what
inflation, it
I
could be
was
like a
thinking about.
percentage of base pay or something.
Yeah.
But I don't,
That feels.
we'd have to look at that,
Yeah, and I think we ought to
like a
raise it.
minimum of whatever,
Yep.
1%, 2% of base pay, or, I don't know.
And this is just a draft
Right,
that
I
we're
know.
bringing for a discussion. I mean, so this isn't.
Yeah, the
anything
two
that's been
pieces though were like
established.
taking it from 20 to 30 to align to the state policy, and then figuring out how to, kind of like we did with our own, it's like
The
we did a
CPI thing,
formula
yeah.
rather than like dollar
Yeah, there's like a
amounts.
little algorithm.
Because
of
then
like
it's more
based on this.
evergreen, at least for the floor.
That's what we did with the landlord-tenant act.
Yeah, we could
took
still
out the
put
dollar.
subject to negotiation
Yeah.
in, but like, would not fall below
Right.
a certain percentage or something, I don't know what. how
Oh,
we
that would be
word it.
interesting
It
if it
would
was
not
like
fall below
CPI or
$7.50.
something, or of the pay.
Or like a
Yeah.
percentage of
Or a
the
percentage.
starting pay, because starting pay will change too over the years,
Is there
right?
something, maybe you all have a reference point for this, is this something that like other communities, like, I'm just thinking of
How else
what
worded?
are other cities doing? I don't know if you all know.
We are seeing across the state.
Yeah.
Cities and their FOPs are coming to contracts that are increasing their longevity. It's all done in different ways. There isn't one consistent way to do it.
Mhm.
But it's a need.
I think if we're gonna ask the voters, the more evergreen language that we can include, that's still not, I mean, obviously you can always do another amendment, but if we could find a formula, a percentage, tie it to CPI or some of these other ways that we factor things in, at least that guarantees the minimum.
Yes.
Like we would never negotiate to 0 or,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. There's got to be a floor.
yes.
But yeah,
Citizens
but we don't want to be
have
back here in
opportunity
X
to
amount of time with
Exactly.
inflation.
Nobody does.
Well, and we're also always we're trying to always increase that starting pay rate, right? So,
Oh, I see what you're saying, like there's,
Well,
I just, said if you make it a percentage or CPI, it just is confusing for voters. But you don't even have to touch the 750 if you're in agreement that that's already the base. Because you've got a floor and just focus
It
on the
seems-
years,
It's
because the
really
base
weird.
right now is 450.
I know, but that's like
Right.
not even federal minimum wage.
That's not even
That's-
minimum
yeah.
wage. That's-
Our voters
isn't it
voted on
though?
CPI for our new pay. Maybe we just need to explore some of these, like what?
Yeah.
Because we had to explain the CPI for council pay, because it was a hard number, and we were like, we don't have to come back, just make it a formula.
Yeah, that's what we did at the state level.
Yeah.
We do percentages or formulas, so we don't have to keep changing
Yeah.
and amending and amending. So
So-
I think we can explain that to the voters.
I will say that to to move backwards in negotiation. The city has to show that there's a need to move backwards
What does that
financially.
mean, backwards?
So
Reduce pay?
Yes. Right, so if we were to roll back to $7.50, it's not because, oh, we want to, the city has to
You
show.
have to demonstrate it.
Yes.
So even the negotiation is subject to support, like you can't just randomly
Correct.
say we're doing 0 this year,
Well,
because we want to build
Because
a
I
new
want to.
bridge.
I'd rather have something for future that's got a little more security in it.
Yeah. I mean, this hasn't been amended in 30-plus years.
Well, I'm sure it won't
Yeah.
be touched again for 30
Exactly,
years.
exactly, so we
But
might
you
as well.
never know.
Right.
Try to take an evergreen approach that does create.
I'll still be
a little
riding
bit of a
bikes in
floor.
30 years.
Yeah.
It may be a trike by then. With the motor.
I kind of agree. I think I would want to see that 30 years extended a little longer.
35.
Because,
Well, I think
I mean, looking at this person sitting right here, he probably would still be doing this.
Or the unfortunate reality
Fairly
is two people don't
effectively,
get to
right?
retire
It'd
anymore.
be in 40 years, right? And maybe in a different.
40 more years, Laurel.
Oh my
No, but
gosh.
also economically,
Please
people can't
stop.
afford to retire.
Oh,
so-
already a grandma?
No, I'm trying to be kind here. Laurel.
thank
Let
you,
me.
No, but part of it's also
So
people
what I'm trying
economically
to-
don't get to retire.
What I'm trying to say
early
is
anymore, a lot of
if
the
you
time.
had been capped out, right?
They can't afford
At
to.
20 years or even
They
30
need the
years, right?
Healthcare.
You would be reaching that cap.
She was
this
already
year,
there
right?
at the 20
If you were
cap.
still
Yeah.
with Tulsa Police, right?
Yes.
So you would be capped out.
We're
Would you
locked in.
potentially have thought about doing this longer, right? And I'm not, don't let me confuse the rules, because that's not the intent here, so don't giggle, I don't think it's funny. If you had not been serving in the position or offered the position you're sitting in now, would this have potentially been a decision catalyst for you to stay on longer? Or would you have seen this cap as being a reason for retiring?
I don't think the cap is ever a reason to retire.
Okay.
I'm sure it's a factor.
But there's always a total incentive package to
Right.
consider.
Okay,
So all of our firefighters, all of our police officers that hit 20 years never increased the longevity, so their increase is only in negotiated wages.
right.
So this is. more
And
of
does
a-
longevity also impact retirement?
Yes.
Yes, so
it
that's the
is
other piece,
pensionable.
counselor. Right, if your income's not going up, then by the time you go to retire, it's like the rule of.
80.
Rule of 80.
It's 90 now for the city, isn't
It's
it?
3.5.
Chris, isn't that what you told me?
City
it's a
or-
rule of 90?
Are we talking, I'm sorry, we're talking police pension?
Well, police or fire, how does your last highest paychecks impact? Or do they?
Highest 30 of your last
Yeah.
60.
Uh-huh.
So you can see if you've gone clear past this 20, which a
Right.
lot of people have, you just heard the numbers. So at least to 30 because of the state pension, but if we want to make it higher,
I
we
still
can.
think
Or
we
we
need
could
to go higher.
maybe
In
even
my
put.
opinion.
Well,
What if we put the language to match state? Or do we not want to do that?
That's the cap at 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number
But
of
when would the
beyond
state ever
35,
potentially
or
drop it
down
back to
higher.
25?
So I did a little
Yeah.
history looking, Sarah and I both tried to find it.
Mhm.
I went back, I call them the old guys, sorry if you're watching. Guys who were here in the 70s actually,
Sure.
and none of them could remember it being a 20-year pension. You might have some history into that, whether or not there's ever been a 20.
We had 20-year pensions, we still do. I mean, it's the,
But is that your maximum?
yes, it changed, I want to say in the 70s, when they went from, it was Governor Bartlett that signed the extension to go from 20 to 30.
Okay.
So that was in the modern era, but it's been
Okay.
a while.
So we just have to make a decision what we want, do we want to align it to state, or do we want to give a little bit more, given what we know about our employees today, and.
Do we have data about? like,
The number of people above 20 years?
Yeah, like I think that could be really helpful just to understand proportionally, and then with the rate of people staying
Or
on
even
past
30.
20, just to.
Yeah, what the average
And
stay
I-
after
and I'm-
that would be.
Well, and I will name, let me know, this might sound like just like too much stuff to pull, but part of it's also that rate of that over time, because as we're acknowledging, it's changed and it continues to change, and I think economically and for healthcare reasons and a lot of other reasons, people are staying in careers longer.
Did we do actuarial
And I think that's gonna
projections?
continue, so I think it would be helpful to
Do
see that
HR?
percentage.
I would think they do.
I'm sure they run something out.
Or like through the departments, through the police and fire.
An actuarial?
Like projection, so you know like who's going. So we could probably look at some of those reports.
It would just depend on what the dollar figure is. So Counselor Bellis, I think Matt said 175 in the fire, 20 years or beyond. 283 police, 20 years and beyond. But then we would have to look at that, who's 21, who's 22, who's 23.
Because you'll see a paper.
And
I'm
because
sure.
each year will have a different paid amount.
Right.
Because of the increment
That's why I
increase.
think there's some analytics to do there, to then see kind of beyond the 20 years what really makes sense or might, like, kind of best capture,
You're in the
like, a
single
population.
digits that go beyond 30 years, and you're into a handful, like maybe less than 5
Okay.
that have over 35, just to put it in context of how many people you're impacting at that point. So.
Alrighty. So we're working on that. If you have ideas or opinions, please send them to us and or we can bring it back for discussion after we get, if you want some reports.
It's a good conversation. I really think the data aspect is really imperative moving forward with that. And then the values after the 20-year, when you're looking at who actually extends to 30, and what that looks like. Alrighty.
It's numbers worked up.
Okay, thank you. Thanks guys for
Still
being
gonna be
here.
working, writing my
Shall we move on to 18, 19, and 20? Thank you.
Does Bengal have to, Bengal and Archie, do they have to step out for this?
Tonight.
Yep.
No, not for this.
Not for this.
Not for this, but later, yeah.
I'm gonna read one, but it's gonna pertain to 3 counselors. Yeah, travel authorization for council rules and order of business in the estimated amount of $850 for Counselor Archie, Counselor Bingle, and Counselor Megan to travel to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma to attend the Chamber of One Voice Day at the Capitol, 2026, to be held on March 9th and 10th, 2026. Registration, hotel, and per diem.
Counselors, in your council rules, when a counselor's travel exceeds $500 for the year, it requires council approval. And so this is for the One Voice Day at the Capitol in Oklahoma City. Several of you have attended before, and this year we have 3 counselors requesting to travel for this 2-day event. And you have sufficient funds in your travel account to cover this.
Yes,
I
Counselor.
would just say thank you to those who are making time to do it. I think it's worthwhile. There's a lot of municipal impacts coming through
Yeah.
on proposed bills, so I don't know who's tracking. Is Shane tracking them for the city? I've asked Marissa to track some that I just personally have come across my radar. So I don't know if there's like a official slate that the city's monitoring versus maybe or the administration's monitoring versus maybe things we may be monitoring. I'm sure some align, some may be different. But it would be helpful to have that before they go. Because I know we have the One Voice, but I think there's things that we as counselors have been working on that we should amplify. So,
There's also stuff coming down from the Oklahoma City Chamber that's municipal related.
sure.
Because I'm tracking those.
Yeah, OML puts out a good tracker. I'm just wondering, like, how are we deciding this is what the council of the city of Tulsa
Yeah, 'cause that doesn't
is
100%
monitoring?
align to.
Right.
Counselor Bingham?
Yeah, and I met with Shane because I want to know what bills are going to have a positive or detrimental effect on the city, and obviously our colleague has been there.
Right.
So I
A lot of
want
the
to
mix that's
understand
around.
exactly, as we go through this session, I don't know a lot of these bills. And who's proposed, some of
Yeah,
them,
OML just sent out a good
quite frankly, some of
update.
them are garbage, but.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
they get to file so many.
But we
I just
need the
wanna
ones
make sure-
flagged for us in terms of the initiatives we're trying to work on as a
Right.
city,
Well,
especially land use.
Exactly.
and-
I'd like to offer, there are already some we've already killed.
Yeah, sure.
They're been killed in committee. They're not gonna get a hearing. So it's kind of a little preliminary. To your point, I think we need to wait till we get closer.
Yeah.
We have to get past
see,
the
like, let's get
deadlines.
out
Yeah.
of the deadline because.
Yeah, so we can maximize your
Yeah,
time.
well, plus you don't wanna waste your time. There's so many bills this year.
Right.
Um,
Well, and the chamber's going focused
Especially
on
with all the
business
senior
and
ones.
workforce, and
Yes.
we are too, but since you guys are the voice of the legislative body of the city, if there's something, right, like you could really maybe elevate something that's under the radar of
Yeah,
One Voice.
especially that might not be as, prioritized.
Like
by the
childcare, we're really focused in on it. I feel like One Voice is a little like, yeah, we need it, you know, kind of thing. So if it's something we can put a little bit more of our emphasis on because we know that we're working on these things,
Yeah.
then I would love to equip you all with
I'd
that
happy to-
list
I'd
and
happy
like.
to
Well,
be
Yeah, I
and,
just- I
and the
wonder-
state chamber, by the way, is huge on the childcare.
Oh, good.
Matt,
Yeah.
it's big,
Yeah.
it's a priority.
Because I
It's a
know there's the
workforce driver.
staircase
Yeah.
thing that's a direct request.
Yeah, well, and that even,
I
that
have
has to do
two
with housing
request
as well.
bills that are out there
That one's
based
more
on
of a
city
funding
stuff.
one. I wonder, this is just a curiosity for my colleagues here, is there maybe, do we want to have something back on this agenda closer to this actual trip? I know it seems like, oh, that's like so soon, but with deadlines and things, there might be
Sure.
things that we're worried will or won't be heard in committee that we don't know about yet.
That
And
would
maybe
be
it'd be
good,
worth
so
just
legislative
touching
update.
in, yeah, wouldn't, I think it could be worth real quick, and we could ask, see if Shane's available, but, you know, I think a lot of us are tracking different things.
Right.
We could just real quick at this table, just be like, hey, are there anything we're really hoping gets heard or not heard, or whatever is in committee that we wanna zero in
'Cause
on,
3
because,
are
or
going,
hope that
right?
gets to the floor,
On the agenda.
cause we'll know more then.
No, I
Which
agree.
they're
I
going
think that-
again, sorry.
Yeah.
that'd be helpful.
Archie,
But you're going.
Bingo.
I'm going
You-
with them.
She's
like-
looking
Are you
for
going
a-
as you or as,
Counselor
Oh, you'll
Archie,
be
did you
there.
have a
I'll be
question?
On it.
are you in there, are you
Counselor
there in
Archie
both?
has a
Both both capacities.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing is, what I wanted to say is, the three of you that are going from this agenda item, the rest of us who are not going, we can email, we can call,
course.
we can activate within our circles, but I think it would be good.
There's-
I appreciated like the OML tracker, I'm getting little bits and pieces from other things, but like, what is the one that the council, what's aligning to the things that we're trying to get done? I would just be curious to know.
Counselor Archie.
And Marissa used to track for us, but
No, it's not been like one of her core responsibilities,
Okay.
so
maybe she was
typically.
just doing it as a courtesy.
Yeah, so if you have something that you want tracked, if you can just let me know and I'll assign it to the right person. Because sometimes we use, like if it's a housing one, our first call, we'll actually ask Housing Forward, are you tracking this already?
Okay.
And so there might be an outside agency that we would go ask, are you tracking this? And so, you had your legislative forum in the fall, and that had a one-pager follow-up on things, so I would say those were kind of collective council things that you were looking at that time. And then if you want to, going forward, if you have one you want to look at, but Shane usually looks at from the city and might even look at it from a department perspective as well, like what could impact the city on a municipality, so he might be a good person to come talk about items that the city is looking at. I know last session he sent an update periodically.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Sure,
You
you
just
can.
got that. Okay, Counselor Archie's been waiting.
For sure. No, I agree. I think you all kind of spoke to what I was gonna say. As an individual going, wanting to bring the voice of the council along with Councilor Lakin and Councilor Bengal, I do think a sort of public time at the table for equipping, you know, laying out sort of what are the priorities would be important, or you could send them directly to Sarah maybe, and she can send them, but I do think there needs to be some sort of focus, so that when we go down, even if it's 5 or 6 items, and I know these are the 5 or 6 folks that I really want to talk with, that would be really helpful.
All right. We are past our 4 o'clock, so I think we can wrap this up. Everybody, okay. So item number 21, we are adjourned, 5 minutes.
Lori,